Hello everyone, today what I'm going to show you is how to turn a footage that looks like this. It's a really bumpy time-lapse footage and turn it into something like this, a more stabilized version of the same time-lapse. And what I'm going to show you today is actually how to extract the information from a face track inside of After Effects and then use it inside of the stabilization tool to stabilize the footage. Here's what I mean. If we put the image sequence into a new comp and just call it like stabilization, and if we do that in the traditional way and take the rotation scale as well, and we try to track the footage by the eye. So let me just show you here. If I press track forward, the tracking will actually not be done correctly because the position of the eye actually moves around dramatically. So we can either manually tweak the position of the eyes, and of course for us that's too much work because we've got like hundreds of frames. So we are definitely not going to do that. And the other method would be to automatically track the face features and then use it inside of the stabilized motion tool. And to do that, what we need to do is drag the image sequence into a new comp, and then inside there we can actually use the mask tracking tool. When we draw a mask on the footage, the tracker panel actually shows a different set of tracking modes. Down at the bottom there are two face tracking features, and if we choose the face tracking detail features, we can use the tracker tool that's native in After Effects to extract the face features. So if we press track forward, After Effects will actually extract the position of all the important face features, and later when we stabilize the footage, we can actually use this information to stabilize the footage. Okay, now that this is finished, we can scrub the timeline and see that the face features are tracked correctly. If you want to see the entire footage, you can go to the mask and turn that to none. And then now what we're gonna do is to extract the position of those face features. Say the one that I want is the leftmost point of the eye, which is going to be left eye outer, and then the right eye outer. If you don't know what those point is called, you can actually drag that point, and you just need to make sure that you press Ctrl Z after, because this is actually modifying the data itself. But in the timeline, you can see a keyframe that has blue borders around it. That is actually the one that you want. So if you press Ctrl Z, that's gonna return to normal position, and then you can click on the name of the attribute. But for us, I want it as the left eye outer, which I believe is this one, and then the right eye outer is going to be that one, and we're going to use these points to stabilize the footage. When we take a look at the tracking inside of our stabilization comp, and if we click on the one that we just tracked, we can press U to see the data, like the 5 frames that we sort of tracked earlier. What I'm going to do is actually to reset the track so that this is the stage that you will get when you press select the stabilized motion. And what we're going to do now is simply track for a few frames. We're not going to use that data, so the actual position is not important because we're going to replace it with our track that's generated by the face tracker. If we press U on the keyboard, we can actually go to the tracking points, and we can basically modify the data however we want. So basically we're gonna copy and paste the data over. Down here is feature center and attach point, and then there is a confidence value, and same thing for a tracking point too. What I'm gonna do now is to turn off the confidence because we're just gonna make it 100% all the way. And then for the feature center, we're gonna replace it with the position of the corners of the eyes. So if we go back to the footage that has the tracking information, we can click on, say, left eye outer, and I'm gonna use this for the tracking point 1. If we just click on the name of the attribute, press Ctrl C, and then go back to the stabilization comp, make sure that you go back to the first frame, click on the tracking point center name, and then press Ctrl V, and this will paste the information here. And then the same thing for attach point. And then if we go back to, say, motion source, go to the track, we can see the track point 1 is actually tracked on there, and we have successfully replaced the position of the track to the automatic track. And then we're just going to do the same for the other attribute. So basically click on right eye outer, or whichever one you decided, and then press Ctrl C, go to the stabilization comp, go to the first frame, press on feature center, paste that, click on attach point, and then paste that. And then now if we go to the track, we can actually see that both of the points are on the face firmly. We finished. We can just hit apply and then the footage will be stabilized. And now with that finished, you can actually delete the one that we used for extracting the face features, because we've already copied all the information over. But if you actually need to use the information over and over again, you can just keep that and probably rename the comp name to something like face feature extraction comp, and just keep that there. And another thing that is pretty important, which goes for all the comps that were stabilized inside of After Effects, is if you try to, say, adjust the position of the image sequence, I might just show you the keyframes for position, scale, rotation, and anchor point. These are actually how After Effects stabilizes the comp. If we take a look at the anchor point, it's actually moving each frame so that they can keep the footage stabilized, which means that if we try to move the footage, we are actually creating a new keyframe inside of that, and that's probably not what you want, and that's gonna make things messy. So what I suggest is actually to make a null object and then probably rename that as stabilize footage follow, and then basically parent the stabilized footage onto the null. And now we can basically move the null anywhere we want and maybe scale it up, scale it down, and that won't create like extra keyframes. So that's it. That's a quick and easy way for stabilizing entire head in one position. That's it. Thanks for watching.